Hello everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Thomas, I am Traveling Gun, and today's video is just basically me talking about why I think the coronavirus happening was a good thing, and also why it's also a bad thing. And I want to say this first of all, these are just my opinions and my opinions only. I'm not saying that my opinion is right. This is just what I solely think and how I feel about this whole situation that's going on. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna start off with the bad, and I want to end on a good note. So the bad about this virus is the unknown, especially being in the field that I work in, being a flight attendant. There's already a set of unknowns because our schedule can change daily. And now with the virus and everything that's going on with the airlines, the unknown has grown greater than normal, than what it really usually is. So it has given a lot of people a lot of anxiety, and because they don't know if by the end of the year will our jobs still be here, will we get furloughed after the CARES Act runs out. We don't know. So therefore that's a bad thing that is caused a lot of people anxiety, and not even just in the flight attendant field, but even across the board. People who aren't essential workers or that were laid off, they won't know if their job will be back when everything is all settled and done. So that's giving us a sense of anxiety throughout the world, the nation. The next thing that I will say that is bad about this is the loss, not only just the loss of jobs. So many people have lost their jobs. 2 airlines within 2 weeks of this happening closed their doors. Granted, I think one of them was automatically already going to close their doors anyway, so I can't specifically say if that was the case or not. But just recently, another regional airline filed for bankruptcy. So in restaurants, small businesses that can't afford to reopen, they're closing their doors, and people are losing their jobs. People have to go home and not work, what have you. Another thing that is bad about this coronavirus is that a lot of businesses are finding ways to operate businesses without the amount of people that they had before, or sending people to other places to conduct business where they're looking at Zoom, they're using Zoom, they're using FaceTime, they're using all different apps to actually talk to someone else on the other end that they would normally send a person. So it's teaching them ways to cut back, per se, in a sense, without having to. Hopefully once it's all over with, they won't continue to do it that way. They can go back to normal, so everyone will have a job, and it gets back to some sense of normalcy, I would say, as far as doing your everyday job. Next bad thing about this is with the airline and cruise industries are taking a very hard hit. Cruises can't cruise, so therefore they're losing money by the day. Flights are going out empty. Airlines are canceling flights. They're canceling, closing down certain bases because of all this situation that is going on. We're flying planes. The most I've ever had on a flight since all this happened was 20. I've had 1 passenger before. And there are people who are flying empty planes. It's just like we're going one place to another, just burning fuel. You have the cruise industry, they're not cruising anymore. And another thing, you don't know if on those cruises, a lot of those people are not from the United States, they're from other parts of the world. So you don't even, with the flights canceling, don't know if they even got a chance to go home to even spend time with their family or anything like that. But with the airline industry in particular, because that's the field that I work in, it's taking its toll. It's taking a hit, after day by day by day. Yeah, the CARES Act is, to help with payroll, but at the end of the day, a lot of these companies are just losing money because they had invested money in other things like new planes, building an airport, joint business ventures with other airlines, and then boom, this happens. So it's taking a big toll. Am I worried? No, not to the extent of where I'm just stressing over it every day, but concerned, yes. Once all this is over with, what happens next? Like, with the airline industry, what goes on? And I think that's the big question that everybody has at this point. And the fact that the unknown is there is what brings fear into, into people's minds. But as far as me, I'm very concerned, but not fearful. So that's enough with the bad. Now I'm gonna get to the good of why I think the good of this coronavirus. So the good part about this coronavirus that I see the good in is that it allowed people to be at home with their children more. Because if you think about it, the average adult, works 8 hours a day. They usually get off between the hours of 5 and 7. And kids are in school from, I'm gonna just use elementary school. And it's not saying that all kids follow the same schedule, but let's just say 8 to 2. That's the amount of time that they're in school. Then if you don't get off till 5, they go to after school care, they go to a daycare, they go to somewhere else. Somebody has to watch them if they're not of age to watch themselves. So therefore, you won't get them until you get off, which is about 5. And let's say you won't get to wherever it is that their after school care, whoever their after school provider is, until about 5:30. Let's just say you get home, it's 6 o'clock. You have to cook dinner, you have to do homework, you have to get them ready for the next day. And you don't really get to spend any real quality time with your kids. So to me, that's the good thing, that you get to spend a lot of quality time with your kids if you have them, or quality time with any loved one that you don't normally get to spend time with. That's one good thing. The next good thing about this virus is that a lot of people get the necessary rest that they need that they haven't been getting. And what I mean by that is, I know a lot of people who constantly work, and they barely rest at all. Some people needed this time to actually give their body some rest. I know a lot of flight attendants that took leave because our schedules are abnormal. We don't have normal schedules. One minute we're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. The next day we could be waking up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, or going to work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Either way, our schedules are not normal. So a lot of people don't get the proper rest that they need for their body, and you can get worn down. And I think a lot of people needed this time off so that they can actually get the proper rest that their body needs. I know somebody right now that I know pushes themselves to the core, to the max all the time. And when the weekend comes, when they're off, they don't want to do nothing but rest. And half the time they don't even rest on those days because they're up doing other things that they need to do around the house, because they can't do it during the week because they're working. And I used to be that way because for a long time I used to always work 2 jobs for at least 6 to 8 months out the year. And I would always push my body, like 4 hours of sleep a day. It was always like that. And then eventually I would crash after a while. But usually since I've gotten this job, I've learned to listen to my body. I know when I need to go to sleep and when I need to rest. So I listen to my body and I go to sleep. I don't try to push my body to the max anymore like I was before, because I didn't like that crash feeling where I just crashed and just slept almost all day. I didn't like that. But to me, that's another good thing that came out of this, people getting to the time off to actually sleep. Another thing that's good about this coronavirus is that a lot of people are being productive, given that they have the time and no more excuses to do things that they put off. I have friends that are right now actually learning another language so that they can be, more proficient in another language, so that they can apply to another position once their job opens back up, and they'll be able to get more money. I've seen people do things around the house where they been putting off for for months and months and months because they say they don't have the time. Now they have anything but the time. So now a lot of people are being more productive in their lives as far as the things that they've been needing to do but been putting off because they said they don't have the time to do it. And like I said, that's just my opinion of what I've seen of people that I know and friends that I am friends with, that they're doing those productive things. So there's no excuse now. You all have the time to be more productive, as far as if you needed to get out in the yard and do some things or clean up something in the house, you have the time. to do those things. But what I would say is make sure you pace yourself, because if you do it all at once like I did, you won't have anything else left to do for the rest of the time. But those are all the things that I see, the good and bad. I'm pretty sure there are more, but if you all have any comments, make sure you leave them down below as far as any input that you would like to add, because I love interacting with my subscribers and people who watch the videos, even if you're not subscribing. I do feel like the entertainment industry is going to pick up, because another thing that I've also seen was people filling out passport application, because I think one thing this virus has taught us is not to take the little things for granted that we've been taking for granted before. Like, some people have been like, oh, I'll go on this trip next year, or I'll go on this trip next year, or I get a passport next year, or I'll do this and I'll do that. And I think what's going to happen is, especially with the flight and, you know, hotel, cruise, people are going to start taking those cruises. People are going to come back and start flying, because people are getting their passports. People are doing this. So I think that's one good thing out of it. It has taught a lot of people not to take the small things for granted and not to put off, because tomorrow's not promised. So you don't know, you know, what you're missing until it's taken away from you. Like, it kills me that I've never personally taken travel for granted, because I've always been a traveler. But the fact that I can't do what I want to do, like go to different countries and experience different cultures, that's, you know, it's crazy that, you know, it was taken away from you just like that. And granted, it's beyond our control. This is something that we can't control personally. But I do see that coming up, and how we will pick up. I'm not saying it's going to pick up right away, but I think it's going to pick up eventually to back to where it's going to where it left off at. Excuse me, can't talk. But it's going to pick up where it left off. I'm not saying anytime soon, but I think it will, just for the simple fact of a lot of people won't take traveling or doing things for granted anymore. But that's all I have for you. The one thing I do want to say, I know that finding the positive in this negative and unknown world may be hard right now, or difficult right now, but trust me, it's there. We just have to keep a positive mindset, think positive about everything, and it's going to get better sooner or later. Sooner rather than later, to me, I hope. But I want to thank you all for watching. If you're new here, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and I hope everyone is out there staying safe. Haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you like it, if you want to see more videos. Just let me know. And to my subscribers, thank you all for your continued support. I appreciate it. I want to thank you again for watching another video. My name is Thomas. Y'all have a great night.